What's up, everybody? Bourbon and Bass, gonna hit you right now. Got a good one, really good one for you guys today. We're gonna talk a little bit about Kentucky Owl Dry State. And those of you bourbon lovers out there, you know what it is. It is Kentucky Owl's rarest blend. It's a 100-year anniversary of the Prohibition era. We're gonna talk a little bit about Kentucky Owl, what that time period meant for them. And then we're going to really dig into the history behind this. There's a lot of U.S. history that's associated with this bottle, that time period. And if you guys are not history buffs, you're going to want to listen to this. And if you are, you probably already know this right now. So a little bit about Kentucky Owl in general. They were established, I believe, in 1879. In Kentucky, and for like 37 years, they absolutely flourished. They were one of the biggest and most popular distilleries of whiskeys and bourbons out there. And they closed down in 1918, which almost everybody did in that time period. 1918, that was kind of the start of the Great Depression. Stock prices went to zero on just about everybody. They went out of business in 1918. And then in 1919, the 18th Amendment was put into the Constitution. So the 18th Amendment, what that did is that prohibited the consumption or the sale, transportation, or production of any spirited alcohol, anything that had alcohol content. But it was kind of funky. It said that, but it did not prohibit the consumption of alcohol. I know if you guys think a lot of our laws these days are kind of screwy, yeah, that's been going on a long time, guys. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember, I'm 40. I mean, you remember like in the 80s and 90s where you could buy alcohol at 18, but you couldn't drink it till you were 21. Didn't make a whole lot of sense. Well, that's been going on a long time. So 1919, the 18th Amendment was put into the Constitution, and then about a year later, the Volstead Act was put in by Congress, and that completely prohibited consumption, drinking, transportation of any spirited alcohol. And that allowed the federal government to police it and enforce it. So, of course, that was 1920, and so that was the era. That was the Prohibition era. The 18th Amendment was the Prohibition Amendment. So that's when you hear Prohibition era, that's what it is. And that lasted all the way to 1933. So that was the time where, moonshining and bootlegging liquor got so big, and it was so hard to police and a lot of problems. So you ask yourself, why? Why did they do that? Well, that was the Great Depression. That was the start of the Great Depression. A lot of people were out of work, so there was a lot of violence and crime that were being committed. There were probably more drunken people in that time period than there ever has been, and that was causing a lot of crime because our country at that time was not in a very good place at all. And a lot of people were taking the liquor, and that was causing a lot of the crime. So they thought if they did that, they could reduce the amount of crime that was happening on the streets. So that's why the whole Prohibition era was in effect. So that was the 18th Amendment. Again, once it was ratified, a year later, Congress put into the Volstead Act, which allowed them to police it. Congress did. And then then it was replaced in 1933 by the 21st Amendment, which to date, the 18th Amendment is the only amendment in the Constitution that has completely been repealed. And that's what the 21st Amendment of the Constitution did. It allowed consumption, the production of alcohol to come back into place. So, I mean, it's, if you think a lot of our politics today are, screwy, I mean, guys, this has been going on forever. But that's the Prohibition era. That is when nobody could drink alcohol legally. Nobody could make it. Nobody could distribute it. Alcohol could only be used for the purpose of creating fuels and science and stuff like that. But that's when moonshining got big. That's when there was a black market for it. So that's why it's so special, that time period. And I love American history and the histories behind bourbon. That Prohibition era is the most historically most historically important time period in this industry because everybody shut down. Nobody could survive it. The federal government would not allow distilleries to exist. They wouldn't allow them to sell it. And then shortly after 1919 and 1920, nobody could consume it legally. But that caused another whole host of problems. But again, country was going through a Great Depression. Stocks went to zero. Almost everybody was out of work. So they decided to try to get rid of alcohol. But again, lasted 13 years. Again, 21st Amendment, the 18th Amendment was the only one to be completely repealed in our Constitution to date. A lot of historical implication comes behind that time period. Now, about Kentucky Owl in this dry state bottle here. Guys, let me tell you this, okay? This is it is a blend. I've never had it and probably will never open this bottle. This is a $1,000 bottle of whiskey right here. Retail, if you find it retail, you're gonna pay $1,000 for it. Is it worth it? Yeah, I don't know that. I'm never gonna open it. It is a really cool piece, comes in a great case, a great box. The bottles are hand signed, hand stamped. It is hand signed by the master distiller. There's only 2,000 bottles of these made. And it's handwritten on there. I think this one is bottle 1,413 out of 2,000. It's all handwritten on there. It's 100 proof. And I probably will not open it. It's just more of a historical implication. It's a really cool box, comes in a felt line case. They did a really nice job of really making it aesthetically pleasing. I have no idea about the taste of it, guys. It is a blend. If there's only 2,000 bottles, then let's see, you get, I think, around 130 bottles per barrel. So there was about 15 barrels or so of it just for this. And don't really care about the taste of it, to be honest with you. It's very rare, only 2,000 bottles made, and it's got a lot of historical implications. Now, a lot of different bourbon and whiskey companies make a Prohibition era kind of commemorative deal. Like Old Forester has a 1920 Prohibition era bottle. It's pretty good. It's only 40 or 50 bucks. So if you see that, pick it up. The Kentucky Owl, again, very rare. Only 2,000 bottles made. Very expensive. But I don't know that I'll ever open this bottle in particular. But it's special. It's special for that reason. And especially that time period was just so, man, it was so crazy. That was a time period that we never want to get back to. If you think it's crazy now, you probably should have lived in the 1920s. Where, that was a rough time for a lot of people. And, man, a lot of historical implications go behind this. So that's why I have it. It will sit here. It's an awesome story to tell. A lot of historical implications go behind not just this bottle, but that time period in America. So I hope you guys, enjoyed a little bit of history behind that. I love bourbons. I love more of the history behind them, and that's why this bottle is sitting here and probably will for the rest of my life, just because of what that time period meant to the country and how we drink bourbons today, why we love bourbons today, and just understanding what everybody had to go through and then turn around and reopen it. I think they had to close down, and it was 1918 when they closed down. It was the Deadman's distillery, which they've reopened, not in that one, but in a different one since then. So after, I think it's 1940s is when they got back into business. But guys, really, really, really neat, very unique and very special bottle right here. Kentucky Owl Dry State. And it's called Dry State, and I should have said this before, because that was when America became a dry state. Not state, the state you live in, but just state in general. That's why it's called dry state, because America, of course, could not legally consume alcohol, but everybody knows that happened. So there was the birth of the moonshiners and the bootleggers. So really cool bottle. If you can ever find it and you can get it at retail and you can afford it, it is a really cool piece to put in a collection. But I will not drink it. And if I'm at a bar and somebody wants to give me a taste of it, I'll take it, but I ain't buying it. It ain't worth, a bottle of whiskey to drink is not worth that to me. But I love the history behind it, and that's why it's sitting on my shelf right now. So I hope that shows you guys, just kind of gives you guys a better idea of what this country went through back then. If you think it's bad now, you should have lived in the 1920s. So, but really cool. Love that part of American history. If you have any questions about it, reach out to me. I'll answer them as best I can. But But yeah, guys, so that's it for the bourbon side. The bass side, I don't have a whole lot. I was just really excited about getting this bottle last week and really wanted to talk to you guys about it. But I leave for Pickwick on Saturday. I have to make a stop in Coleman, Alabama on the way there and do a little appearance at a tackle store in Alabama on my way up to Pickwick. If you guys aren't familiar with Pickwick, it's the extreme north. It's the extreme northwestern corner of Alabama, so it kind of borders Mississippi, Tennessee, and the waters go into all three states. Pickwick's got a lot of history there, guys. You're going to see a lot different tournament in this Pickwick one than you've seen in a while from the Bassmaster Elite Series, because this place has got them, and they are going to be right. Very, very good chance that this could be some of the highest cumulative weight totals that you're going to see all year. Possibly Lake Fork in April when we get there could be pretty special too, but I'm really looking for this one in Pickwick to be some very extreme. I'm telling you, you're going to see 30-pound bags in this one, and you are going to see multiple 20 plus pound bags in this one. This one could be very special and a lot of fun to cover and a lot of fun to watch. And you're going to see giant, not just largemouth, but smallmouth too. They have 7-8 pound smallmouth in that place. They have 8 to 10 pound largemouth in that place. So you're going to see some absolute giants being called because it is the time of the year these fish are going to be staging up to spawn. Really looking forward to this one. A little different than the Tennessee River where we just came from. But guys, you're going to see some massive bags be caught in this one. And this is one, you better catch them every day if you want to keep pace or you're going to get left behind. I am really looking forward to Pickwick. This tournament is going to be a lot of fun for everybody and really fun for you guys to watch. So I hope you guys follow us there at Pickwick. I'm ready to get back on the road. I'm ready to get back on the water to keep this season going the right way. Sitting in top 10 in AOY right now after 2 events, right where I want to be. I want to compete for an AOY championship and make the Classic. And got to take it one tournament at a time, one day at a time, one fish at a time. But this is going to fit my style of fishing. These fish are going to be staging up. And there's going to be a lot of them staging up, and there's going to be some big ones in there too. So guys, stay tuned. If you have any questions or any suggestions about something you'd want to hear about, please reach out to me. I'll be glad to answer them or maybe talk about them in a future show. But thanks for watching again, guys. Bourbon and Bass, and we will be seeing you guys soon next week, Lake Pickwick. Then we'll do another one. But guys, thanks for watching. Dream big. See y'all guys later.